Over the past 3 years, researching the software industry, I met a number of young software engineers, scientists, journalists, and economists. These are the young Indians in their 20s and 30s, quite a few of them educated in American and British universities, accustomed to patterns of life and work in the West, and all of whom are exposed to new ideas and methods of thinking, the new age information technology. Inevitably, the discussion turned to globalization and economic reforms, India's much admired software industry being in many ways a product of globalization and liberalization. For this generation of Indians, the country's past economic policies and performances are an enigma. Why is India at the bottom of most league tables after 40 years of economic planning? Why did the country adopt an inward looking policy framework in the first place? Why did we stick it long after it had failed to deliver the goods? Why didn't our brilliant economists advise the government to switch gear during the 1970s and imitate the Eastern Asian countries? Many argued it was all Nehru's fault. He looked to the Soviet Union for a model instead of Japan or the United States. Rightly or wrongly, they blamed the leadership of the past for the corruption, bureaucracy, and red tape they encountered in their daily life. Others, drawing upon the experience of China and the East Asian tigers, attributed India's abysmal poverty and low levels of literacy and education to India's worship of democracy. Did our brilliant mind economists who crafted the grand design of the past sacrifice social goals for growth? Much more parochial concerns too were aired. How did we know that software won't go the same way as other industries of the past, such as textiles and leather goods? It's not entirely wrong to agree with the cynical view that India's misfortune was to have brilliant economists, an affliction that the Far Eastern superpowers were spared. This is not a comment by someone pandering to popular prejudice against economists, but from Jagadish Bhagwati himself, one of India's brilliant economists. Frustration rather than a loss of faith in his chosen profession appears to underline Bhagwati's remarks. Frustration that despite all the brilliance of her economists, India ranks well below most other developing countries on most criteria of growth and development. Economists, much like professionals, are prisoners of their training, the prevailing orthodoxy and ideologies. The economic philosophy and policies that India's economists shaped were conditioned by the prevailing ideology and orthodoxy during the 1950s and the 1960s. They rose to the challenge of producing intellectual support and rationale for the economic philosophy and ideology enunciated by India's leaders soon after the country had achieved political independence. It should, though, be a consolation that in recent years it is again India's brilliant economists who are attempting to erase the follies of the past and set the Indian economy on a new trajectory. Lord Keynes, talking about the economic problem, wrote, "If economists could manage to get themselves thought of as humble, competent people on level with dentists, that would be splendid. India's economists are much more than competent. They are brilliant people who should have been able to meet any challenge, but they seem to have got policy badly wrong. Why?"